Hello again, this is UML Operator. All right, welcome back. In this session, part 4 of a multi-part series on simple web UI design, we're going to talk about reporting and analytics. So when we're looking at our dashboard here, we have a navigation cell for reporting and analytics. So let's take a look at it. In this session, we're going to create 2 charts, one for requirements development progress and the other one for solution progress. We're also going to create some reports that we're going to run on a regular basis on requirements development, maybe around scope elicitation, around solution analysis, and maybe as we're getting to layer 1, layer 2, and deeper layers within our sitemap, we're going to do analysis there as well. All right, so we're in our demo area for this session. We're going to create a package and we're going to call it reporting and analytics. And I'm not going to create a diagram, and this is just going to be package only because there's a couple of ways to create 2 different types of diagram types that get us the same toolbox. So I'm just going to hit OK, and we have a blank package within our demo area. Now we're going to create a diagram. So I'm going to come to this icon right here, new diagram. I'm going to left click on it and it brings up this dialog box, right? So when you're in extended, there is a model document diagram type for you to use, and it'll tell you what it's about right here. We're going to hit OK, and it opens it for us. And this is the toolbox that we want and need for the work we're getting ready to do. The other way to do this is we're going to select the package where we want the diagram. We're going to select this icon again, new diagram, and it takes the default name of the package. We're going to put 2 next to this just to signify it's a different diagram. And this time we're going to scroll down in types. We're going to go all the way down to something that should say document templates. And there's only one template to choose from. We're going to hit OK. And it has a different diagram icon in here, but you'll notice that in 2, it has the same toolbox. So this is the first one we created. There's the toolbox. This is the second one. All right. And we're going to right click on this and delete it because I don't need 2 of the same diagram types. And now in this blank diagram, we're going to create a standard chart. So in the toolbox, you have a standard chart tool element to drag and drop in. And when I do that, it gives me the ability to name this chart. And we're going to call it something like requirements development progress. But I'm going to not name it right now, just accept the default name here and show you how to rename your charts, if you will, within your diagrams. All right, so we select the chart that we want to manage. We go over to properties right here, and you can see the name is standard chart 1, all right? And we want to give this a name, requirements development progress. Now I'm going to hit out of focus, and it renames it. If it doesn't rename it, we might be stuck on previous name. Just right click in here and then come down, reload diagram, and it will reload the diagram and rename it. Now, one of the things that just happened, because it didn't save it, it reloaded the diagram. There was nothing saved for it to reload. So I'm going to drag and drop this element back into the diagram, and there we go. We have it back named properly. We can move it around anywhere we want. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to double click to open up the dialog box for standard chart. And we're going to use a type pi for our chart. And then on our series, we're going to set this to element status, right? Element status. So you have lots to choose from. You can play around elements, issues, change, defects. But we're going to be focused on element and then status, all right? So the next thing we want to do is we want to add, well, what's the data we want to mine for this chart? So we're going to hit add, and then we're going to hit add package. You could hit search model. We know where we want to go. We're going to add package, and we're going to go down and grab the ones out of our real project, and we're going to grab this requirements folder right here, which has all of our scope and requirements. I'm going to hit OK, and there we go. We have this package. But watch what happens. When I hit OK, what? This is not right. This chart's not right. What happened? So if I double click on this again and I open up the dialog box, you have to remember to include child packages. Now, if all the elements that you wanted to mine the data on were under this parent package, that would be fine. But we created sub packages for layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3, and we're going to select all of them to get the sub packages under this requirements folder, right? Now, when we hit it, we have a percentage of all the requirements that are an approved status. They're already implemented. A lot of times when you're doing development, you're giving requirements for current mode of operation. So you want to collect those when possible as well. Mandatory may be legal, security, regulatory, or mandatory by the client. We're not even going to deliver this project without these requirements being done at a minimum. And then propose. So as you're putting requirements in, you're proposing requirements, you're going to be building up a percentage of those that are going to have a certain status. So this is our first chart, and there's a lot more we can do, but this is all we're going to do in this session. All right, we're going to add another chart. Again, we're going to use standard chart. That's all we're focused on in this session. I'm drag and drop the element down in here, and we're going to give the element a name, solution progress, right? Set it where we want it to be. And then we're going to double click on this, and we're going to open up the property window here. Again, we're going to use pi, and we're going to set this to element status, right? Now, current model is fine. We're on here. I'm not going to get into the details, how to do that. Later in advanced sessions, we'll get into custom SQL, where you can write SQL to mine your data for your business intelligence, your charts, your analytics, and then you can also deal with flat files. That'll be an advanced session. We're just using the package wizard, if you will, from Sparks. We're going to add a package in here. Again, we're not going to get into search because we know where we want to go. We're going to go to package, and this time we're going to go down into the sitemap because we want to mine the UI component elements for our reporting progress. All right, so I'm going to hit OK. We've got that in here. I am going to remember to include child packages, and then I'm going to hit OK. And I don't have anything. So why is that? Let's take a look. Well, during class sessions, I often get modelers, students that are in the room that get this experience. My chart didn't write. So I go open up properties and look to see what you've done. So when we open it up, you hit OK, or you didn't add, or you didn't complete something, start over. So we'll go to element, we're going to go to status, we're going to come down here to add, we're going to select add package. We're going to go to the package that we want to do analysis on. We're going to hit OK, and then we're going to check this, and we're going to hit OK, and there you go. So one of the reasons is because they either inadvertently canceled out, or they forgot to hit the add or do something within the model. Just go back to the dialog box, double check your entry. You can see how easy it was to fix. So now with your charts in a diagram that you can double check on, a dashboard if you want to, we're in the requirements folder here, and we're looking at the requirements. If you go to properties here, you can see the status is approved on 1, 2, and 3. Well, 2 was actually the status was mandatory. So the client and the stakeholders set that status to mandatory, must happen. And then when we go into layer 2, implemented, approved, this one's proposed. So this is news and more on UML. Tips and tricks is proposed. So proposed. So as you're going through and you're doing sprints on delivery and development, or whatever is changing the status of that, once you do a demonstration or your testers come back and we've met the requirement acceptance criteria and it's ready to go, you can change the status. So we're going to change the status for this demonstration to implemented. We're going to go to tips and tricks, requirement 4, and move it from proposed to implemented. And then where to start, we're going to move the status. Let's move the status to validated, right? Just validated, not implemented. The testers came out. Well, it's there, but there might be a what, but in that. So now when we come here and we reload our diagram, refresh it, if you will, we are going to yes, please. And it would update the status of those dashboards. But again, I forgot to save them. So let me fix that really quick. All right, we're in the folder where I want to bring these back. I'm going to drag and drop them in. You'll notice that they automatically refresh when I do this. All right, so they're back in here now. And look at the extras right here. It means to save. Let me hit Control S and save it this time. All right, oh boy, that was embarrassing. Let me hit reload just to make sure everything's working. There we go. They stayed in there. It reloaded the data in the database that was saved to the database, right? But they were still here, set the way we wanted, so we can drag and drop them into any diagram, any dashboard that we want to present these. So there they are again. And now we're, in our solution status, we can do the same thing. You can see in requirements, we had some that were just moved to validated, approved, proposed now is at 64%. Mandatory is 3.6, implemented is almost 18%. So you can start to see your progress live and in real time as your team is working on delivering the project. Next, we're going to do reporting, right? So in this particular case, we're going to bring in from our toolbox model document. I'm going to drag and drop it in here, and it is a class element that has a artifact icon at the top of it, and I can size this and move it around. I can rename it. In this particular case, we're going to call this requirement. I think it's just going to be requirements development. I wanted to say elicitation, but call it anything you want. I'm going to call it requirements development. All right. So it's just where we are in the requirements development, requirements engineering time frame. Right? So what do I do with this element? Well, the cool thing about these, they're class elements, as you can see. So in an object-oriented design, that means they have operations and attributes. Well, we need package attributes because we're going to be bringing in packages. When we execute this class, it is going to run a report based off of the coding that Spark's EA has done. So in this case, we're going to roll down to our requirements, and we're just going to drag and drop the parent. So it's got layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. We're going to drag and drop this right into this element. Now you have in here, if we go to attributes, features, right here, attributes, I have an attribute for this package, type package, public scope. All right, so now, and I want to hit save. Always remember to do that. Now I have something interesting that I can do. Number one is I can right click on this, and now in the pop-up menu, I have documentation, and I can left click on this and it will bring up the generate documentation dialog box that we've all seen in the reporting videos that I've done, right? I'm gonna hit close on this. Another way to get that, as you remember from the class, is that if you hit function key 8, that's a shortcut that brings up generate documentation. Now you'll notice that each time we bring this up, the type is model document because we are focused on model document. If I'm just on a diagram or a package and I hit F8, it is going to be focused on package, all right? But we're using model document and the functionality, the features behind this special element to generate a report on this particular model document. And of course, if I'm selected on this and I go to publish and I go right to build report and I select generate document, it does the same thing, model document, because I'm focused on this particular class element called requirements development. All right, that's the name of it. All right, so next we're going to generate some reports. All right, so we're going to right click on this. We're going to go to documentation. We're going to select generate documentation, and we're going to bring up the dialog box we just talked about. We know we're on the right element, the right area, and we're going to go to our repository for where we're storing demo reporting. Now you'll notice that it takes the default name of the element. So it automatically named it for us, requirements development. We're going to accept that. It also defaults to model report template. So if you want to change what template, just always remember it's going to default to model report, right? Now I want to go to scope analysis for this one, but let's go ahead and run the very first one, which is going to be model report. And everything else is set. We're going to the right repository for reports, and we're going to hit generate. Leave everything else. We're going to use internal viewer, and I'm going out to a docx, which is a Microsoft Word file, but we're going to read it in the internal viewer. So I'm going to leave this checked, if you recall that from the reporting videos we did during those sessions. So I'm going to hit generate. Now, this is a fairly decent size project, and a lot of requirements in it. And you can see the progress down here as it's going through the various packages and elements, and it's building a rather complex model report. My requirements report's a little faster because it doesn't have all of this detail in here, but we're going to go ahead and accept this. So it tells us that it's done, and now we're going to hit view. So now when we're looking at it, you can see everything out of that package, all 3 layers, and then other sub diagrams that are in there, and then all of the data, metadata, versioning, everything out of the database relevant to these models as far as the reporting and analysis. And we're just halfway through the report. There's a lot more to go about, right? We're going to do it again, but this time we're going to use a different template. So I'm going to right click on this. We're going to go to documentation, left click on that, and generate documentation. And we're going to change the template. And I'm going to use scope analysis. And you can always open the template to view the template you're getting ready to use. We're all good. We're going to leave everything else set. And we're going to step on the other report. So it's going to write over it using the same name, right? And now I'm going to hit generate. And now it's generating this report, which is a custom report. I'm not going to get into custom reporting, cover that in other sessions, for scope analysis. And you can see now that it's done. I'm going to hit view. So again, it's going through the parent package name, the diagram name, the scope, and it's going through and bringing up only the data I want to see, the requirement itself, realization associations, versioning, dating, all that kind of information. So that's a very quick way of generating reports from this dashboard on reporting and analytics. Let's do a couple more. All right, we're going to go into this element here. You can add new elements. You can right click on this element, hit Control Delete or hit Delete. And now that package is not there. It's gone. So I'm in requirements. We brought in originally the parent. I can bring in layer 1, layer 2. Maybe I just want to report on these 2 layers, layer 3, right? So now when I run this report, by right clicking on the element, again, going to generate documentation, and we're going to run the same report, but you'll notice it default goes back to model report, and it doesn't stay on the template that we had originally chose. So we're just going to scroll back up to it. This is going to be scope analysis. And now we're going to run this report with a current configuration of model document class element. So I'm going to hit generate. It is cycling through these packages the exact same way it was doing before. It just started at the parent package and then it cycled through the sub packages. It's doing the same thing. It's starting with each parent package, in this case, layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3, and it is done. I'm going to hit view. So you'll see that it brings it up in the order in which we did it. So it's starting at layer 1. It's going to go to layer 2 right here, and it's going to go to layer 3 eventually. There's a lot of requirements in layer 2, so layer 3, right? And there you go. So I'm going to hit close. That's another way of reporting, right? So often what I do is I'm going to bring in model report, bring this in here, give it a name that is meaningful, go over to properties, give it a name that's meaningful, requirements, elicitation, or engineering. I want to give it a different name, right? Different name, drag and drop requirements in here, and there we go. All right, let's bring in another model document element. We're going to drag and drop it into our space right here. We're going to give it a name. Here we go, solution approach, good enough. And then we're going to drag and drop in our solution. So we're going to use sitemap package. And we're doing a solution approach, solving problems. So we're going to bring in our requirements. So we want to run a report using the solution approach template, solution analysis template, whatever you want to call that, your own solution template. We're going to right click on this. We're going to go to documentation, generate documentation. And again, it's going to name it to what the class element is. Thank you very much. And it's going to be on default model report template. I don't want that. I want to use solution approach template. This is a custom template that we created in our shop. And I cover all of this in the reporting series, how to do custom templates or use canned templates, right? So now we're going to go to our demo reporting folder. I'm just going to hit generate, and it is generating using these two packages. It's going to cycle through them in the order in which we place them, starting with sitemap. That's the architecture that we're doing. And then scope, those are the problems we're solving for the solution. So now we're going to hit view, and we're using a solution approach template. It comes with the first package called sitemap. It's taking that name right out of the database. Here's our sitemap. It's going through each element, showing the associations, any notes to why we believe a particular element is solving a problem in requirements. You can see it is traced to the requirements. Remember that in realization. So it's bringing that connection. So online courses is realizing this requirement, the destination. And then if you put any notes or intelligence under your associations, those will show up in your report. So there we go. And here's the requirements. So it's going to cycle through. Again, it's using our template. So we're bringing in tag values, which is part of the custom template. It's bringing in the source, which is the home page. Then we're focused on requirement 1, requirement 2, requirement 3, etc. Right? So scope, same thing. It's cycling through using the template that we developed ourselves during this particular exercise. So I hope you're picking up how to very quickly create reports using the model document element in here. I'll do a video on how to get to model document depending on the version of Sparks that you have, and post that right after this one. But basically, if you want to do, let's say you wanted to do a solution at a particular level within your analysis, you could create a package that only focuses on layers in your solution approach, drag and drop that in here, as well as in your scope. Let's say you're only focused on layer 1 and layer 2. We're going to drag in layer 1 scope, layer 2 scope, and then give this a meaningful name for this, and then right click on it, run it, and it will basically do everything we talked about. It's taking the default name, which is simply model document 1, change that anytime you want. Choose the template that you want to use. In this case, we're using our solution approach template. If you want to look at the template that we created, pretty simple. It's a one-pager, very simple stuff to do. Again, cover that one in another video. You can always run from publish, up here reports, generate that way. If you're much easier to right click on it and run it, and then run the solution approach, and pretty much the same thing that we did in the other exercises it is going to cycle through the packages just the way you conformed them in the model document element. And when it's done, you can see it's created. We go to view, it cycled through layer 1. It's only focused on layer 1 and layer 2 context. Goes through layer 1 with focus on layer 1, layer 2, only focused on layer 2, all the way down to the requirements. And there you go, very simple report. You can fire out rapidly to the team as you're progressing through your delivery exercise. All right, that concludes this session. I hope it was helpful for you. We're getting a lot of questions on charts, business intelligence within Sparks. So this is just a starter. We'll dive in more deeper into business intelligence, BI reporting, dashboards in later sessions. So in this session here, we covered reporting and analytics and created models to support our progress. In previous sessions, we built out our sitemap, we built out our requirements, and in our next session, and finally, we're getting to wireframe development. And that's going to be fun. I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. It can be complicated, but it's actually wireframing in Sparks is far easier than any other UI design development tool. When I say easier, not just drawing, but actually easier to pass on your intelligence, develop, and collaborate, because that's the key thing to UI, user experience, UX design. So I look forward to seeing you in the next session. And until then, happy modeling.